YouTube are now the biggest platform on our TVs. Over 1 billion hours of YouTube content is watched on TVs alone every day. What is the best that we can do with our much more limited resources? Now, for us, it's about finding clever ways that we can cut corners that maybe Hollywood hasn't found yet. Sometimes that's using AI and these new fleet of tools that are coming out. Other times it's just about being a bit more guerrilla. When you get your audience to buy in on a really good narrative and they're drawn in because of the story you're telling, they don't mind if the visuals are a tiny bit off. In fact, one better, you don't even notice. Tom Cruise. We're going all practical, baby.
Hi, welcome to India.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
Yeah. So I want to start by asking you that I read that you started watching YouTube videos at a really young age, and at a really young age for YouTube as well.
Yeah.
So,
and dude, we've just crossed the 20th anniversary.
Yeah.
Insane, isn't it?
Yeah. So, but and you said that it was considered pretty uncool to watch YouTube then. So how have you seen the perception towards YouTube change over these years?
You can't even describe it. I remember hiding the fact that I watched YouTube to my friends because it was so unheard of at the time. The paradigm shift that has occurred over the past decade is astronomical. I think YouTube is the biggest shakeup to happen to media in maybe a century. I think the thing that excites me so much about YouTube is this democratization of creativity. Previously, if you wanted to have your story commissioned and you wanted to tell your story to the world, you had to go knock on the door of a Hollywood boardroom, beg for your story to be created up against tens of thousands of other storytellers. Today, YouTube have opened the floodgates. Anyone can distribute. And it's not just distributing on any platform. YouTube are now the biggest platform on our TVs. Over 1 billion hours of YouTube content is watched on TVs alone every day.
Yeah.
Like, that's the world we now live in. So I'm excited to see the shift that's about to occur, where I think over the next two decades, we're going to see some of the greatest storytellers of our time coming and popping up from random places all across the world, because the access you will now need to tell those stories won't be like it used to be, where you had to be based in LA or London or New York, like one of the big hotspots. You can now be anywhere and play on the world's biggest stage.
True. I think your channel peaked during the pandemic. So what was that time like? Like how did the pandemic give voice to creators despite all the doom and gloom around?
Well, I think it was kind of two things that happened at the same time. Of course, it was the pandemic, but I think primarily it was shorts and shorts opening up on the platform. One of my big inspirations, and even still today, one of my favorite creators is, of course, Zach King. And I was obsessed with Zach. I mean, I loved him when he was Final Cut King, but even after that, through his Vine days. And I loved these kind of short visual stories that he told in 7 seconds. When shorts first came about, I thought, wow, what an incredible opportunity to bring those kind of short visual effects stories back to life. And I got very excited when I saw it. So I made a pact with myself on the first day of lockdown that I'd upload a brand new video every single day. Of course, what was supposed to be a 3-week lockdown turned into a 3-month lockdown. But I kept my pact and I carried on ideating, shooting, editing, and uploading every single day. And thankfully, that kind of momentum has led me to where I am today.
Yeah, and I love that you push the boundaries of what YouTube can do and what you can achieve on YouTube, especially through the stunning visual effects that you do.
Oh, that's really sweet. Thank you.
But even some of the Hollywood movies that we watch aren't able to achieve that. So do you think that do they lack the resources or just the imagination?
Oh, wow. I guess it's a very specific question, but I think overall, Hollywood is a huge inspiration to me, and seeing what they've done in their movies and their films is what we look at when we create our videos, and we go, how do we bring a flavor of that to our short form content? Of course, in Hollywood productions, there are sometimes thousands of artists working on it. And of course, we don't have thousands, like we can't put thousands of artists on a shop. So we're going, okay, we've got a team of 10 artists. What is the best that we can do with our much more limited resources? Now, for us, it's about finding clever ways that we can cut corners that maybe Hollywood hasn't found yet. Sometimes that's using AI and these new fleet of tools that are coming out. Other times it's just about being a bit more guerrilla and having just a bit more fun and being a little bit more lenient and not worrying too much about the every finer pixel. I think for us, one of our core truths is just making sure that the most important thing that we're selling in our videos isn't the visual effects, it's the story. And putting story very first. Because I think when you get your audience to buy in on a really good narrative and they're drawn in because of the story you're telling, they don't mind if the visuals are a tiny bit off. In fact, one better, they don't even notice because they're so immersed in the story that you're telling them.
That's what special effects should do, ideally. They shouldn't be visible.
Yeah, exactly. And they amplify the story that you're telling.
As a journalist, I just loved watching this interview will self-destruct itself.
Oh, nice. You've seen this interview will self-destruct. Oh, that's awesome. That was such a fun format. I'm gutted that no longer exists.
How did you convince Tom Holland to get on board?
Oh, great. That was, I met some of the Sony team on the premiere of one of the Spider-Man films. And I said, look, I've got this crazy idea that I would love to do, and it'd be an absolute dream come true if I could get 15 minutes with Tom. And I sort of said it in passing, not really thinking much of it. And suddenly the next day I get a phone call. And it was my manager who actually had a phone call with the Sony team. They go, I've got a weird one for you. Apparently you spoke to the Sony team last night about wanting to shoot with Tom Holland. And I was like, yeah, that happened. And they were like, yeah, they're going to do it. And my mind was blown. I couldn't believe it. And genuinely, everything I was hoping he would be, he was and more. One of the loveliest, most incredible people I've ever filmed with. And it's still one of my favorite pieces of content I've created.
Yeah, so I love it. So finally, I want to just play a little game with you.
Let's get it.
So if you had to make viral videos with more celebrities, I would name the celebrity. You just give me an idea of what you want to do with them.
Okay, great.
Let's start with Zendaya.
Oh my God. I mean, I'm a big June fan, so we'd have to go to the desert. I really love, we've done a couple of like quicksand videos. I love this visual of this idea of like you're getting sunk into the sand and at any moment you're about to disappear. When I think about our content, I always think, how do we keep people in the video? What's something we can do? It's sort of a hook that's so engaging that you physically can't click away. So for Zendaya, it'd be a video where we start off with one of us, or maybe both of us, kind of submerging into the sand as if we're about to vanish. But I think a cooler twist, rather than anyone dying, would be what happens when you go through to the other side? Do we end up on a portal into this magical world?
Well,
or maybe the worm from June just comes up and swallows us both whole. We go flying up into the air. That's actually a cooler. I prefer that. So we start sinking down. Then suddenly the sand starts vibrating. You see the rings around us. We start looking at each other in panic. We know what's about to come. We both start hitting on the ground, but of course, you've seen June. When you hit on the sand, that's what summons the worms up. So then suddenly the ground starts shaking more, and then the worm comes flying up. But we're at the very top of it, so we see ourselves fly up into the air with this big worm beneath us until we get swallowed whole.
Wow, it's just so visual, but. I think Dune 3 is coming up, so maybe you can
put some notes across. Yeah. I'll say, guys, I've got an idea.
Why not? How about Kylie Jenner?
Oh, what would I do with Kylie Jenner? God. She did one of those, is it the Vogue or the 63 or the 73 questions walking around the house? I think I'd love to take a format like that. And almost like what you were talking about with this interview, All Self-Destruct, where it feels like a normal interview setup. But throughout the video, bizarre things just start happening. She shows us into a cupboard and she kind of like pulls her clothes apart, and instead of just seeing a wall, you see like a portal into another world. She goes, oh, don't look in there. And then she takes us into another room. She's got a portrait on the wall and we look at the portrait, and then suddenly that portrait that photo is a portal into that world, and we can kind of poke our heads and she's like, no, don't look over there. And throughout the duration of the video, it would escalate and the effects would get grander and grander until there's this one big humongous ending. I think what would be quite fun would be if the camera kind of pulled out at the end and then you see we're actually inside of like a miniature, like a Barbie house. And the whole time we were just dolls being played with on like a fake interview. And we were both just being played with by like a kid in their bedroom who was having fun, and it was all just in their imagination.
Now I get it when you say you're a Hogwarts dropout. It really feels like that. How about Leonardo DiCaprio?
Okay, Wolf of Wall Street is one of my favorite films of all time. What a film. He's got so many incredible roles. Which one do we choose? Django? Yeah, I think it's got to be Wolf of Wall Street. I think it's got to be Wolf of Wall Street.
But what are you going to do?
Yeah. Wow, that's such a big video. Of all the ones that you've mentioned thus far, that's by far the biggest. And you know what? Leo's had so many incredible roles where he's played so many iconic characters. I think I'd love to do a video where we go through all of his roles and we do this incredible transition video. So we start off maybe in Titanic. And I am on the door, lying in the water, and I'm going, Jack, don't let go, as he's like submerging. But then instead of just him submerging, we both submerge underwater. And as we both submerge underwater, suddenly we both appear in, let's go straight to Wolf of Wall Street. And we're suddenly-
I have a suggestion.
Oh, go, please.
How about you go straight into Inception?
Beautiful. We're straight in Inception. Maybe where do they have water in Inception?
Because that's exactly what you're doing right now.
Oh yeah, in the bathtub. In the bathtub, yeah. So we'll go to the bathtub scene in Inception, and then boom, we've come out of the bathtub, and we use that water point as the transition. I think I would try and find specific physical beats in each of the films and work out how we can transition from those into his next movie and have this like awesome elaborate journey where you travel through all of his greatest hits and all of the best films he's ever done, and then you land in one of his final films and you make sure that that video has its own beginning, middle and end inside of all of these micro stories.
Awesome. I have one last one.
Please.
Tom Cruise.
Tom Cruise. We're going all practical, baby. Like we do some crazy visual effects in our videos.
You don't need AI there.
Yeah. So I'd want to test him. Tom, let's go personal. We'll speak directly to Tom on this one. Tom, you've created some of the craziest stunt sequences in Hollywood history that you are yet to take on YouTube. Tom, I challenge you. I think Will Smith probably takes the crown at the moment with his helicopter dive. I challenge you to beat Will Smith in a video. Let's team up and we go and create the wildest stunt video YouTube has ever seen.
Mission Impossible is coming.
Exactly. And we're bringing Mission Impossible to YouTube.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much for your time.
Dude, thanks so much.
Thank you.
Pleasure to be here.